Hey there, traders. How are you doing? Hope you're well. It is 3 o'clock, 1st of April, 3 o'clock London time. Okay, so US PMI data is just coming out at the moment, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment because I think there's bigger things going on. So I thought I'd just do a quick follow up to those of you who watched my video from, I think it was Friday morning, Friday lunchtime, when I talked about how we'd spent that week in WOWO and that everybody was waiting for the peace trade. Well, I think it's probably fair to say that certainly over the last 36 hours, we have definitely moved from the WOWO to the kind of WORO, namely war off, risk on. Those of you on the VTP Discord or maybe on one or two of the other socials I was on, I put a little post up there, kind of, was it around a sort of about lunchtime yesterday, early afternoon, saying, hang on a minute, I think, the peace trade could well be on and stuff. So get ready for that risk on. So I thought I'd do a little bit of follow up just to help educate, just to give a bit of insight, just to see what can we learn from that. So first and foremost, from Friday, what I talked about was that this is the dollar index 4 hour chart. I'm going to have to flip between about two or three different charting packages here. This is Trading View 4 hour dollar index. Okay, and you can see it had been in a pretty strong, okay, bullish trend there. But then here's what we got sort of like Monday night, sort of Tuesday morning. Okay, I'm going to come back to this. Okay, I'm going to come back to this big bearish engulfing. Bearish key reversal, price pushed to a new high, but it closed beneath the lows of the previous candles. It's a key reversal, and as you can see, it's pretty much been a really strong reversal. As I said on Friday, okay, if we get a ceasefire, a peace deal, whatever version of it, that would likely be sort of bearish dollar, and that's what we've seen there. And accompanied with that is basically is the VIX as well. Okay, VIX, VIX had been up here above 30. Okay, up here above 30 and stuff, and then invariably, as you can see, that from being up there, kind of just tickling the soft underbelly of 31, sort of double topping there. Okay, once again on that 4 hour chart, you can see for yourself it's kind of slumped its way down there. Okay, trading south of 25. So still in volatile space, all right, still in volatile space, but certainly not as let's say as anxiety inducing as it is when it's north of 30. So we can see that that has really been quite some turnaround. Started to see it on Friday afternoon itself. So let's have a look at these. This is the 2 year. Now, I think I did my first Friday video around about this time, okay, and it was literally this is US Treasuries 2 year yield, and I talked about how basically every time we came back up to 4 on 2 years, okay, Trump came out, oh, we've got a ceasefire, oh, we've got a, we're extending the ceasefire, but actually it moved high, and that's what we're saying is kind of a little bit of put the fear of God into him and others. But actually, as you can see, as we got into that Friday afternoon session, we had a right proper turnaround there, didn't we? Sort of Friday afternoon into the new week, and that has continued. Yeah, sort of in the last couple of hours, had a bit of a turnaround, but that is some considerable, all right? That's some considerable sort of, increase in treasuries, okay, bullish treasuries, but actually sort of very bearish in the yields. And it was the same on the 10 yield, okay, where we'd got to sort of the triple fours, 4.44. Okay, that's where we had last Monday's sort of ceasefire announcement, a drop, and then he tried it again. It was kind of Thursday evening, but it hadn't. It had pumped higher. But then once again, that 4 hour, look at that 4 hour bearish engulfing candle, bearish key reversal candle, peaked out there into Friday, into the Friday lunchtime, early Friday afternoon, and then bang. Okay, the yields, okay, on 10 year just have come down as well. 30 year, we talked about it being sort of kind of about up towards about 4.98. That's where we had from the previous Monday. But once again, we'd been up there again. But once again, okay, despite having it pushed towards 5, you can see that basically since then we've kind of worked our way down on the 30-year yield. So it's interesting that even sort of Friday afternoon, something was amiss or something was afoot. All right, something was afoot. Okay, something was going on. Where, how, why, and through who? Well, there are probably, well, in fact, there are much better treasuries and bond specialists who could give you a far better insight into what's actually gone on and why it's gone on. I'm a simple trader. I trade what I see, okay, and that's what we saw there, and that's what we saw coming through there, okay, and that's how that's changed. Um, it's probably interesting how I saw it. Okay, what I start to see. I'm going to bring up something else here. Yeah, let's bring up something else. Let's just put me around so I can put the charts on. Why did I start to get interested? What was I kind of curious about? Well, what I've got here is, let's bring up the old drawing tool here. This is it's just a series of indexes, commodities. Okay, so you can probably see what we've got there. Okay, you've got Dow on the hourly. You've got let's just see here my you've got Nasdaq, S&P, DAX. Then invariably you've got gold, you've got silver, you've got oil. Okay, you've got West Texas, and you've got Brent and stuff. I haven't got my right glasses on, have I? But what I want you to take a notice of is when I came in yesterday morning. All right, yesterday, but yeah, we are Wednesday, Tuesday morning. And what I was curious about here is we're looking at this more as overnight. We'd had that big pump, okay, in the Dow. All right, that big pump there, okay, in the other American indexes, okay, the other American indexes, including basically the DAX. It had also been accompanied by a pump in basically in silver. It had also been a sell off in bang West Texas and also in Brent. Now, let me just make this a little bit. Oh, you've just, well done, Paul. I just wanted to zoom that so you can see they've got the same thing. Even in gold, we had that move as well. So it was around about sort of 1:30 London time. As I said, we saw this pump. Now there had been rumours that basically Trump was going to walk away, or he was basically done with the war, etc., and that was enough to do it. But I thought it was significant that we had got a real big pump in the Asian session. All right, in the Asian session, and it had not just been on one instrument. It had not just been, just on even like one set, like the dollar. It was across gold. It was across silver. It was across oil. It was across European indexes. It was across American indexes. It was across, the dollar index that we had just looked at, that 4 hour chart on the Dixie. Some big move had happened. All right, some big move. Some boy had, you don't get to move markets like that without, some big boy, some super tanker putting in a proper turn. Okay, and that's what we saw there, and that's what started to get me interested. Okay, yesterday morning, and I kind of talked to a couple of my trader buddies and sort of pals saying, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the start of the peace trade, but during Asia, there's easily many false dawns. And also a case of, I was like, well, hang on a minute. This is Asia. I need to see London sort of follow through with it. And then it would carry on through the US session. Does the US session carry on and stuff? And that's what we saw. And that's actually what we saw. You can probably see here, okay, sort of into those sessions yesterday that actually we worked our way up in terms of indices, all right, down in terms of oil, but also up in terms of the gold and silver. Where I was also interested in it was, let me just bring up here. I might not have it on this particular chart, but I was trading it myself was pound against Swiss franc. Okay, was yesterday was quite significant in the way it kind of moved. So you've got effectively risk on currency in sterling and a risk off currency in Swiss franc. It seems to be taken out. It's because I suppose I've got about 6 different charting packages working its way. But if I just bring up here, yeah, pound Swiss yesterday. Normally I'm looking for kind of mean reversion trades, but it was clear there's the pump. Okay, even the pump in sterling, the pump I was talking about at about 1:30 in the morning that we just looked at across indices, across dollar, across oil, across gold, across silver, also sterling. Okay, a bit across sterling, and in particular across euro, which we'll look at in a moment. You can see that actually during the London session, see how it just literally bang, 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 bang. You've got risk on in sterling currency, risk off, okay, in Swiss franc. And we just had that work its way up there. And you can see that worked nicely. So there was all these things coming together, all this kind of confluence of events, okay, happening, working together to sort of, to put us into the picture. And that kind of, there was, we could see that was kind of playing its way out nicely. And what we saw was, let's just go back to trading view. What we saw was invariably that kind of the the dollar weakened considerably. So Aussie dollar, here we are into it. Okay, this is this is the what had been a fantastic trend, sort of, Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday of dollar strength. Okay, basically that Monday night into Tuesday, we started to get the turn and the burn. Okay, we had a few of the few farmer trades trigger. Even Kiwi dollar, which for those of you on VTP stage two on the STAM. Okay, dollar's been strong, Kiwi's been weak, and it's been reflective of that. Even that started to turn around. That's a really nice 4 hour double bottom, big bullish engulfing candle, bullish key reversal, working its way there. And as you can see, that has continued. Euro has probably been the biggest winner in terms of, you can see how it worked. There's that Monday night, Tuesday morning, big pump, and you can see how that worked its way up there. Okay, and that is the real kind of peace on trade, that shift from anti-dollar, anti-Trump into euro. Now, of course, also that is probably also allied a little bit with the crunch that is going to probably happen with regards to energy and the impact on inflation. And if you look at a few of the European kind of European bonds, etc., and gilts and what have you, they're pumping up. So of course that doesn't do a currency any harm either. But yesterday was a real proper, war off, risk on sort of move. Cable did the same as well. Okay, you can see there's that big Monday night, Tuesday morning, 4 hour, you know, bullish key reversal, bringing us the food, bringing us the sort of the work. Sorry, dollar against Canadian, which I talked about people on my Dollar Edge group, that this was fascinating to me, that even though Canadian dollar was strong because of the strength in oil, it was still getting battered by the US dollar. But then, boom, there we go. There's the turnaround. Okay, not as strong as the others, and maybe that's saying something about Canadian dollar, but certainly that's the move we've played through. Your dollar against Swiss franc as well worked its way up. Okay, did that reversal, and as you can see, is that dollar weakness. Dollar yen was the one I was first into. Okay, you can see that we had the pump there. It started, and maybe, as I said, there might be people with more fundamental insight than me. It started kind of Sunday night into it with the Japanese yen. I talked about that on Monday at the Monday market update, that we had Ueda and Mimura, who I think is the currency specialist at the Bank of Japan, saying that they were worried about this kind of 160 level, and they wanted to, they were not ruling out intervention. And you can see that kind of that Monday, we basically had this nice double top, bearish engulfing, bearish key reversal, bearish rejection candle. We came down here. This was getting short here. And then you can see that kind of Monday night, we were already into it and we were working our way down. So it has been quite some reversal. I believe Trump is addressing the nation, I think tonight, which I think is it 9 o'clock Eastern, 2 a.m. In London time. Not unsurprisingly, I'm not going to be up to watch that, but I can't imagine he's going to be addressing the nation if it's bad news. Do you know what I mean? That's not his style at all, is it? If he wants to go on and address the nation, it's probably because what's gone on, okay, and what his plan is in case. The thing all about this is that price leads the way. I trade a lot on prediction markets. I used to trade a lot on prediction markets, and I learned there from a mentor there that the saying has always stuck with me, that somebody somewhere always knows something, and it is just human nature that that individual or that group will use that knowledge to further their own self-interest. Okay, it's just human nature. You might not agree with it. You might think of it as black edge. You might think of it as immoral. You can debate it all you want, but the reality is human nature is human nature. And so, as I said, I found it fascinating that kind of Friday afternoon, okay, the yield started coming away. Sunday night, okay, the Japanese Bank of Japan came out, Japanese yen came out, and then overnight sort of for us here in the UK, Tuesday morning, that kind of Monday night into Tuesday morning, 1:30 in the morning, somebody's pumping massively. Who is that? Who is that? And was it a coordinated move? I don't think, I know a lot of people have talked about the Trump family, but I don't think the Trump family is wealthy enough to move markets just like that and stuff. So I'll be fascinated to see how that plays out in terms of what comes out about it. As I said, I'm sure well, there are lots of people who are have better insight and better contact and networks than me. I'm just doing what I always do: trade what you see. Okay, trade what you see in front of you. Anyway, okay, I hope that helps. Hope that just gives you a little bit of a follow up. Hope that just sort of helps you make sense of what we've seen going on over the last, well, certainly over the last 3, 4 days. As always, I wish you the best of success in your own trading endeavors. Have a fabulous week. Have a fabulous Easter weekend. And I'll speak to you soon, everybody. Trade well. Cheers.